At the end of the 6th day of creation, as the sun began to set, God was putting the finishing touches on the universe. In those days, God was a tinkerer, and it seemed there were always things God wanted to tweak. As God's final flourishes, God added fragrance to flowers and painted the bumblebees black and yellow. God added a little extra twinkle to the stars, and God told the hyenas a very funny joke about which they're still laughing to this day. And as twilight settled, just before Shabbat, God wanted to do one more creative act, to put an exclamation point on the end of the first sentence of creation. According to a midrash, God decided to create 10 miraculous items that would be needed later in the story of the Jewish people. There, at twilight, God fashioned first Miriam's well, which would quench the Israelites' thirst in the wilderness. Then God invented the manna that would feed them. Then God stretched out the rainbow, which would serve as a promise to Noah. God formed letters for the Torah and tablets for the commandments. God carved out a cave for Moses' grave. Then God made the ram that would replace Isaac as the sacrifice and the donkey that would talk to Balaam. Finally, God gave a mouth to the earth so that it could swallow a rebellion, and God carved Aaron's staff. Then the sun set, and God took a much-needed rest. Those final 2 items, the mouth of the earth and Aaron's staff, come up in this week's Parsha, Korach. It is perhaps the deadliest Torah portion, full of plague and devastation. Korach foments a rebellion against the leadership of Moses and Aaron, one which God quickly crushes. The mouth of the earth, which had been waiting since that final day of creation, opened and swallowed Korach and his band. The next day, having seen all this devastation, even more of the people stand against Moses. God is enraged and sends a plague that might have killed every last Israelite had it not been for Aaron, who quickly runs to the center of camp and offers a sin offering on behalf of the people. The Torah says that Aaron stood between the living and the dead, putting himself in harm's way until God's anger was finally checked. But even with his quick thinking and his bravery, thousands of Israelites were already dead. It's a difficult story to read. What starts as just a few malcontents ends with innumerable lives lost. God in this story is angry and vengeful. Our ancestors are rebellious and petulant. And it's made even more troubling by our midrash, which says that God always knew the people would rebel, always knew that Korach would be swallowed by the earth. The mouth of the earth was waiting there all that time, hungry for Korach's grave mistake. When I read this parsha, I am sometimes overwhelmed by the death. I read it as a senseless tragedy, a dark mark in our people's wilderness wandering. And it can be easy to miss that the story ends with a surprisingly hopeful and evocative coda. To prove once and for all who is God's chosen leader, Moses takes a staff from the chieftains of each of the 12 tribes. From the tribe of Levi, he selects Aaron's staff. He carries all of them to the tent of meeting and lays them in front of the ark where the tablets of the 10 commandments that were also created that last day of creation are stored, and he leaves them there overnight. In the morning, when the people return, they discover that Aaron's staff has sprouted leaves and buds and almonds. Moses plants that staff near the tabernacle as an enduring reminder of all that has transpired. After the rebellion, after the destruction, there was blossoming. Nobody would have looked at Aaron's staff and known it was capable of such flourishing, and yet it had been there all along. Just after God created the mouth of the earth, God created Aaron's staff, and within it, God hid the possibility of blooming. And perhaps what is true of Aaron's staff is true of all things. The Kabbalists talk about a divine spark that exists in everything, in every rock and tree and bumblebee. And perhaps that spark is a seed waiting to blossom. It must at least be true for God's most important creation on that sixth day, namely us. That spark in each of us is what calls us to bloom into our truest selves. Bereshit Rabbah teaches that for every blade of grass, there is a constellation in the sky that whispers to it, grow, grow. The stars are calling us too, compelling us to flourish. It's easy to read the story of Korach and see only destruction, to be swallowed up by the darkness and devastation. In our own difficult times, this is even more true. And we must not look away from that darkness because it is real and there is pain that needs to be addressed. Some of us will have the opportunity to be like Aaron, who runs towards that pain, who stands up to God, who puts himself on the line. If asked, we must choose to stand between the living and the dead, to look power in the face and say, enough. But this is only one message of Parshat Korach, and we cannot let the darkness keep us from seeing the light. Because in the end, the Torah teaches us this: you were made to blossom, and you are capable of untold flourishing. Only some can run to the center of the darkness, but all of us, everyone, can bloom. This Shabbat, as the sun sets, we celebrate the bloomers. We honor those who have found a way to flourish even when the world around them is dark. We celebrate all who are like a staff, maybe crooked and knobby in places, definitely different from all the others, but who found themselves planted and so decided to grow. Know that your flourishing was a part of a divine plan, that your transformation was germinated in the seed of holiness that has always been planted inside you. And we honor those who have yet to bloom, who are not yet in touch with that God spark that is inside of them too. May you hear the constellations whispering to you, and may you find yourself rooted in community such that you might feel liberated enough to grow towards the sky. And so Cantor Simmons and I want to offer a blessing. We'll offer the words of Ze'evi Tovlev, the first out transgender person ever ordained as a cantor. They took the words of the priestly blessing and reworked all the male gendered Hebrew so that now it's not gendered at all. They've reached into the well of our tradition and drew up these words, which have been used across the generations to offer holiness to one another. They transformed the words into water that might nourish the seeds of holiness inside of each of us. We offer this blessing to everyone because we are all made to blossom. We are all made with that spark of divine light, that seed of growth and possibility. So if you find yourself this evening as a person who's flourishing, please rise. And if you have ever flourished, please rise. And if you dream of flourishing, you should rise too, because this blessing is for all of you. Please rise.
יברך אתכם אדוני וישמר אתכם. יאר אדוני פניו אליכם ויחונכם. יישא אדוני פניו אליכם וישם אליכם shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find
Please be seated. On that first primordial Erev Shabbat, God made a little bit of everything. God made food and water. God dug wells and caves. God made a donkey to talk to a prophet and a ram to save a young boy. And God made a rainbow as a promise that even after darkness and destruction, a brighter future was possible. But mostly God went about hiding sparks and planting seeds so that we could find them and bring them out. The Torah commands, Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Maybe to love your neighbor as yourself is to recognize the divine spark in them is the same as the divine spark in you. To love one another is to celebrate the possibility of blossoming that lies in each of us. If we could all see each other like that, if we could all love each other like that, then there's no amount of darkness that we couldn't dispel with our light.
ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. How would the world look? How might our days be lighter? How could the heart feel? How might the lands get wider if we loved like that? Really loved like that. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. Who could be saved? How might the world be softer? Who could your heart heal? What is the gift you'd offer if we loved like that? Really loved like that. Try it with me. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, לרעך כמוך, כמוך. How would the world look? Shabbat shalom.